was just curious.
Yeah, they got it gets over 78 degrees and they have real issues. So
Mm.
Okay.
it's yeah, it's you got to be careful with them. We keep the basement really cool, and they just hang out there a lot in the summer.
Okay.
Hey, I have a question. Maybe you could get a little help on. I was listening today. Someone was talking about Odie's oil being new. I'm not familiar with that. Does anybody have any opinions or can tell me what it is? Is it as good as the rest or better? Any ideas on Odie's oil?
Isn't that Canadian?
No, that's not Canadian.
Uh,
Well, Wood Turner Ty, I think, used that stuff. And he hasn't been on for a year or so, but he used that.
It was a Canadian guy that says they use it, but it says it's manufactured in the USA. I read up a little bit about it. It seems to be a little higher priced than a lot of them, but they claim it goes a long ways. Does anyone have any practical knowledge of it?
Not recently. I've used it once, and I think I have some. But I don't remember if there was a big plus or minus, but it worked.
They say
Okay.
they say it's oil and wax.
I told you about the springs. Why did you say don't know where it is?
I have no idea.
Wax oil?
They say it takes full cure time is 2 to 3 weeks. Wow. Okay.
Say that again, Matt. The cure time.
It says the cure time is 2 to 3 weeks. I'm bouncing around on the internet looking it up. Rockler sells it. There's also like odiesoil.com, which apparently is the home site for it. So they talk about using it to cover hardwood floors with, to coat hardwood floors with it.
Amazon
also-
has it.
Yeah, they also sell a poly and a Danish oil and a tung oil.
You got to be not good at in the fall if it takes 3 to 4 weeks to cure.
Yeah, that whole conversation was talking about somebody who was finishing floors with it and said, best not to let it get wet for 2 to 3 weeks. So I was like, okay.
You know, Wood Turner World got that kind of patience.
Right. Well, I mean, I've used several floor finishes on wood pieces. You know, some of it to decent effect. You know, particularly like that Varathane finish, but that stuff is pretty toxic. And pre-cat lacquer works good too, but you got to have good ventilation for it and wear a respirator. So I'd be curious to find out more about it too.
Yeah, I've got a question, not related to that, but a number of years ago, someone was making kind of square metal blocks to take the place of those round washer-like locks on the bottom of a tailstock on some of these mini lathes. Do you know if anybody still makes those or where you can find them?
John, it'll come to me in a little bit. I know the name, but I'm not quick with names.
Okay. Those ones with the round washer on the bottom really don't grip very good. And you really have to get a longer handle or something to make them lock down when you go to cranking in on the tailstock. I had one for another lathe one time, and that went with it when I got rid of it. Probably wouldn't have fit this now. I need it for a 1221 jet.
I had a fellow call me today that he's been looking for 1.25" 8 nuts to make some faceplates, and his local hardware in places don't have them. I didn't think that was a rarity. I thought I bought some a couple of years ago.
McMaster Carr.
I sent them to Granger, MSC, and McMaster-Carr.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, they'll
try-
have
Yeah.
them.
Fastenal will probably have them too.
who's
They
that?
sell them to the public.
This guy said, the hardware store said, I can get you one that's stainless steel and it's $75 a unit.
Lowe's website says they carry them.
Who?
Lowe's Hardware.
Good luck finding them there.
Yeah.
I
Get
kn-
look when you're getting two before.
Some,
Tractor Supply or what's the other ranch one? I know they carry a lot of the bigger nuts
Maybe.
Rural King was
because I had to get some for
Rural
the
King.
truck and
an uncommon
Sawmillcreek.org carries them.
It's an uncommon size for most of the stores around here to handle because most of the farm equipment doesn't have anything bigger than 3/4. And then they'd have to, if it was bigger, they'd buy it from a dealer. But the local stores wouldn't sell enough of them to really stock them, I don't think.
What are trailer hitch nuts? They might be up close to that.
Yeah, they are, but I think there's a lot of them anymore that's much bigger than that, inch and a
Maybe.
quarter.
Evening, everyone.
Hey, Paul, how you doing, sir?
How you doing, Paul?
Thanks. How are you
Good evening.
Absolutely evening.
doing? Well, morning here, but evening there.
Hey, Cap.
I'm here.
Hey, this is Jay.
Yes, sir.
I got the order. I got my order
Okay.
from. What size drill bit do I need again to drill those holes for the
I don't
sleeve?
know what holes.
For the sleeve. I remember I ordered the magnetic ball bearing and
Okay, well, I have a vow of not talking business, but I'll tell you that's a 3/8 inch.
oh, okay. That's all I needed to know.
I don't want to be caught violating my own rules. If you draw a line in the, if you draw a line in the sand, you got to stay on your side.
Oh, okay.
I've got a question from Matt, if I could ask it now, or do I need to wait?
No, you got Matt. Go ahead.
Matt, on your using the microwaves for drying the wood, you said not to use the one in the house. My question is why. We've got one that's in storage that we keep, and when our house one goes out, we bring it back and use it, and then put it back into storage. If we used it, was it because of the potential for fire or smell? And after it was used, does it kind of, in a sense, contaminate the microwave to be then used later in the house?
No, it doesn't contaminate the microwave. The potential for fire, although infinitesimal, is still there. So it's a lot easier to throw the thing out of the garage or out of the shop into the yard if it does catch on fire, or a piece catches on fire, if it's not attached to cabinets or something. But that doesn't ever happen really. But but the real reason you don't do it is you don't want to fill your house with wood, with the smell of wet wood.
Right. Okay. So if we bring it out of storage and put it into the shop, or even outside and use it there, I could then, once I'm finished, take it back and put it into storage again. And if our house microwave does go out again, like a couple of years ago, we got hit with lightning, and so they had to replace the circuit board in our house one. So we use this storage one in the interim.
Yeah,
So I'd be
there
okay.
should, unless there's something like a nail in the wood that you don't know about, yeah, you should be fine.
Okay, good. Safety.
I have a question. A week or so ago, we were talking about going to CVS and getting shoe goo, and I forgot what we were going to use it for.
Shoe goo is definitely Katie Bolliger's line of work, so he'll tell you all about shoe goo.
Can I just jump in, Gary, and
It
say,
was
I don't
probably
know,
for sanding pads.
I am.
Hey,
Gary,
Martin.
Gary, I'm just going to jump in and quickly say that you're either not married or you're a braver man than I am if you're going to use the wife's microwave. top and bottom line. That's why we don't use the house microwave. The wife is around. Katie, you can talk about Hugo because that's definitely
Okay.
you that mentioned it.
Yeah, I wouldn't use.
You're muted, Kay.
You muted yourself.
Oh, here. Sorry, I was talking and I was muted. I had to unmute myself. But I was saying I wouldn't use the microwave in my house for food after I dried wood in it, just because some foods can take on the taste of what you nuked in the microwave, especially if the wood smolders or stinks as it dries in the microwave. Some foods can take on that taste or scent. And on the fact of shoe goo, I use shoe goo to make my own sanding discs. So here's a sanding disc, and I make them myself. You can use the backing. You can use either a piece of plywood. So I have these plywood pieces, which I use for scrap blocks or waste blocks. You can use this, drill a hole in the center, epoxy a drill bit or an old Allen key, and that then is the top of your sanding disc. And then what I do is I use shoe goo, and I buy a couple of these mats here at Walmart. They're the exercise puzzle piece mats. You can cut them into circles the same size of a sanding disc you like, and you glue them together with shoe goo, because shoe goo is a rubber shoe repair type glue, and it's flexible enough to adhere the rubber, but also to hold it together when it's in use. And I also use the shoe goo to attach the Velcro. Here.
Where can you find that shoe goo?
To attach the Velcro to the discs that I sand. Once I've glued the foam and the Velcro onto a piece of scrap wood, or you can save your discs from ends of boxes or spindles. You already have the tenon here. You have a center from your center live center or your spur drive. You drill the hole in that center, and then I use that arbor. I throw it in my small spigot chuck, and then I use a skew to cut across the surface to give me a perfect cylinder of the size of disc that I want. So this is 3-inch, 2-inch. I've made 1-inch, and so on. The shoe goo you can get at you can actually get it at Walmart. You can get it at any shoe repair store or leatherwork repair store where they do shoe repairs. You can sometimes even get it at the shoe stores themselves, like Foot Locker or whatever.
So Ace Hardware, Lowe's, Joann's, they all sell it.
Yep. They'll have it. Yeah.
I use that E6000 glue for the same exact purpose as you do. It's very similar.
I saw the shoe goo at CVS the other day for $7 something for a tube. And I had forgotten what we were talking about using it for. Thank you, Kate. A real good answer.
Hey, Eddie, it's good to see you back in the shop.
No
problem. I wanted to do it.
There
This
he
is
is.
573 days from last time I was in the shop. And today I came out, I turned an ink pen, and I was watching a video from Great Britain about some guy, and I'm terrible at names. He turned a cowboy hat, and it was broadcast internationally on a webinar, and he did about 1,000 or had about 1,000 people watching. And we're going to put the link, that's a record, RECORD thing, and you have to email in and register, and then it's no charge. And they do this every week. This ran a little bit over 2 hours, and it was awesome. But I was out in the shop, and while I was here, I cleaned a couple of chucks that got a little rust on it, being in the humidity, and adjusted a few things. Had a great time. Thank y'all. With your support, I did this. I got to mention, I had a guy come by this morning to buy some cutters, and I was cleaning the Morse tape around my lathe, and he says, "Oh, I never have a problem with that. I just spray a little WD-40 on, and it never sticks." Think about that for a minute. You got a metal-to-metal drive piece, and you're going to lubricate it. So, but I had fun. I had a lot of fun today.
That fellow that demonstrated that that you were talking about there was doing it for Record Power.
Yes, sir. That's the one. Record Power.
Record Power. Andrew, his name was Andrew Hill, wasn't it?
Andrew Hall. Andrew Hall.
Oh.
Andrew Hall. Eddie, he's not doing every week. He's got specific dates. Record, we've just been talking about it in the chat there. Record have been putting on live demonstrations with a chap from Australia.
Theo.
Theo, on a Saturday morning.
Or Friday night for us.
It's Friday night, late night for you guys. It's Saturday morning for us in the UK. Andrew has now put together 3 or 4 sessions for Record, and it's my understanding that Record Power are going to have Andrew sort of once a month, Theo once a month, and they're going to be Wednesday nights for the UK. So I'm not sure where it'll fall into you guys. With the Record Power demonstrations, it's again, there's not a lot of point in following them links. It is purely a matter of just sending an email to Mike, because Mike organizes it all for Record Power. And I don't want to jump in here and blow my trumpet, but on my website, if you go to my website, there is a calendar, and all of the events and the links, even the link into this meeting, is now on my calendar. It's what's online. So you can go to that, click on the link, you can see Record Power, and there's a link direct to send an email to Mike, so that you can get your response email from him. But I will put it into the chat. I'll try and get it into the chat off the website. And you just send Mike an email, you'll get an email link out. You will go on Record Power's email links, which then means that you'll get kept up to date with what dates they're on, and you can add them to your calendar.
Hey, Martin, do you have Pat Carroll's information?
Demos are on there. The idea, what I've tried to do is I'm trying to put something together so that everybody knows what is going on online. So if it's a free event, it will be on the free events on the calendar page. You don't have to join my club. You don't have to pay any membership. It's as free as Eddie's. It's just the new website was really to sort out members and give people a place where they can go and get resources. So there's a resource page and there is a calendar page. What's online is your calendar page, and that's filling. So some of the demonstrators will put their events on there, and their ticketed events, and there's a green ticket sign. That will take you to their website if you're interested in watching and paying for a demo, but you don't have to do that, and you don't need to subscribe to my site. It's just there. So I'll give 2 seconds and I will try.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie.
I'm a little late tonight. I got a good phone call. A few minutes ago, I got a phone call to go get my first COVID shot. So we went and got it, and we back.
Good.
That's good.
You're gonna have to move your camera or something there, Ronnie. We only see half of your face.
Yeah, I was trying to show you the
Now
The
we've got
haircut, he
you.
was showing it off.
There you go.
There we
Everybody's
are.
doing okay?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny, I like that picture you had on Facebook when you were a young man now. That
Yeah,
was a good picture.
that was a few years ago.
Yeah, a couple, huh?
Yeah, my daughter brought that up. So.
How old are you, Johnny?
73.
73. Yeah, that's, you doubled since then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Oh, in a chat this afternoon, Jeff just put up the link to get to that connection for record powers demonstrations.
Yeah, I see it
In the
on
chat.
there.
Yep. And also I put the Google link up there to Amazon. So, hey, I want to thank Cade because he just talked about those rubber mats used as cushion for standing desks. You know how many sanders I got there? The rubber has gone bad. And I'm thinking, oh, I got to go buy them from the company. Hell no. Exactly what he
No.
just showed. We can use that for sanders. Thank you, Cade.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, because, you know, I find them at garage sales all the time and the rubbers are wiped out. I'm like, what a shame.
Yeah, I
What
think
is
you
that,
buy a
full
pack,
mat
you
y'all
get
talking
4 in
about?
a pack.
Yeah.
4 in
Using
a
shoe
pack.
boot.
If you have a northern tool around you, they make a real nice rubber mat for the floor.
Yeah, Harbor Freight.
Yeah. Anti-fatigue mat too, yeah.
Yeah, talk about using the mat to replace those rubber spongy things on sanders, make your own sanding disc. It's a great idea.
Yeah. The Velcro, you can buy the Velcro at any upholstery store, like Fabricland or any place that would
Joann's.
sell.
Joann's, Fabra.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
automotive uses a kind of a rubber glue that they put on
Michael's.
contact glue.
Oh yeah.
Any craft
Michael's.
supply.
Yeah.
Hey,
Nope,
Kate,
maybe
I
even
ordered your
one.
light that you showed last week.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were great.
And what I did, it came with an adhesive magnet. I turned it around and glued it to the light. Now it's magnetized to my tool rest.
Oh, that's perfect, because then it just pops in and out within that little bar,
Let's see.
in that little backing.
Turn it over. Let's see the backside.
This has rare earth magnets on it, but when I
Oh,
bought
okay,
it,
yeah.
like you said, it came with a
And
magnetic
adhesive
strip
magnet.
that sort of sat within that trough.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And that worked out good.
Yeah, I ordered one of those too. They come 2 to a box. When I
Yeah.
opened the box up, one of them was powered on. I opened it up and it was on. And then I couldn't figure out until I read the instructions, I couldn't figure out how to turn it off. A little switch on the end.
Put it back in the box.
I kept
Yeah,
punching the
that's
button and nothing would happen. And then I saw the little switch on the end. It's on, off, and auto. So it came in with it powered on.
Hello, Miss Brenda.
Hello, Brenda.
What's auto do on those lights? Is it sensitive to somebody walking through it?
No, it comes with a remote. So it has 3 things on the side: on, off, or remote setting. And with
Audio dropped out.
Yeah, your audio just dropped out, Kate. Got real loud.
Andy, I got a rare earth magnet on the back of this too.
Yeah.
It sits right on the side of my tailstock.
Cool.
Get like me, I have to have the phone welded to me.
Yeah.
Hey,
And it works for
everybody,
both lights.
I think Eddie's excited. He's in his shop tonight.
Oh, I'm loving it, Ronnie. I'm
great.
loving it. Johnny, I had a name change. You see that?
There you go.
I'm a member, an official member of the 2x4 Club. And wait, they got the name wrong.
Yeah, I see that.
All
Made
right.
patches?
I see that too, and here's what I did with it. I put it in my copier and made it 300
There
times
you
bigger.
go.
Hey, I didn't see Eddie come up with a piece of 2x4 anywhere. Did anybody else?
No.
It's right. Hold on. It's right here. Right here.
The hose
I'm not going to break. I'm not going to cross the line. Here it is, right here. See that?
All right.
That's my 2x4.
Okay, now you can be added to the list.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Hey, Dave.
How'd he mount the club?
Ronnie's not on the list, Dave.
Who isn't?
Ronnie.
Oh, sure he is. We'll add him too.
Yeah.
Ronnie's chairman of the board.
Okay.
But I printed this on my label printer, but I got got the information. All this is done up
Johnny
by
Hughes,
Dave, our website director. He did this. Now you go to the website, and we'll throw a link in the chat for you. But you can go there and you'll see who's registered or put in for the 2x4 Club. And if you click on your name, this will come up, and you can print it. It gives you the option to print it. So you'll have your own ID with 2x4 team.
That'd be good.
Nice.
Eddie?
Right? Well,
Eddie?
Yes, sir.
I'm looking, we have 82 people on right now. And I'm saying 82 people. For everybody that's sitting there watching this and taking it all in, we have 82 of us that get together every week. About 20 of us are on a personal basis and call each other by name. We'd like for the people that are sitting back, taking everything in, enjoying the session, but we would like for you to get involved. So all of these guys that are talking, you can call them by first name. You can kid with them. You can ask them questions. That's what we're here for. So don't feel like you can't come forth and chit chat during this session. So we invite everybody to come forth.
That's true. I mean, and we will kid with you. We will joke with you. I mean, look at Crash Brent. She keeps coming back every week, Band-Aids and all. I mean,
It's great to see you back in the shop, Eddie.
it's great to be here. It really is.
What is that on
And now,
your
now I'm ready for some more videos.
Oh, Eddie's one.
I taped one today, so, and I got plans for
Awesome.
another one tomorrow. Long as the snow doesn't get too deep. I'm not like that. I can't work in the snow.
I think you're safe over there.
Yeah,
Come
we
on,
had
Eddie,
snow
I'd just be
yesterday.
happy to see a handful of sawdust.
What's that?
I'd be just happy to see you pick up a handful of sawdust and show it to us. I don't have to see your work. I just want to know you're having fun.
All right, you with me?
There it is.
Here it is.
That's the right
There you
kind
go.
of snow.
Hell yeah.
That's
Eddie.
southern snow, right?
Eddie called me today about 1 o'clock. He said, go to FaceTime. I said, okay. I said, what you got? So I went to FaceTime, and there he was in the shop, and he had a smile on from ear to ear. And he's telling me it's been 537 days. So he needs a round of applause for him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ronnie. It was fun. I got back in. It took a few minutes to get acclimated, but I picked up a skew and made a couple of passes on that pen and said, "Oh, I'm back. I am back."
It felt good, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That piece of wood's been it's stuck in that lathe for almost 600 days. I used it. I used it the weekend after SWAT in 2019. I had a guy come over for a lesson, and I was trying to show him how instead of plowing, you do the slicing. I was copying Mark Soleil's program, and that's what was still in there. It's a chunk of 2x4 because I wanted to use, I can't say scrap wood or junk wood, but I just want to use something that was difficult to show them the grain. And today, finished making a pen, put a depression in it so when it goes on my iPad, it won't fall off and hit the ground. My wife thinks that's the niftiest thing in the world. Get my video back. There it is. I got this in the right spot. See, I put that depression in the middle of it.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah,
Hello,
and
Mr. Doug Moore. Doug, you're on mute. I'm telling you.
Hey,
hello.
Ronnie. Howdy. Hi, Ronnie. I knew you were on mute. I was listening. I had to find the screen so I could open it back up.
I see Miss Kim Tippett out there.
Howdy, y'all.
Hi, Kim.
Howdy.
I thought I saw Billy Bertlon on just now. Billy, was that you?
Tim, you need to do your eyebrows and your lip gloss a little bit, don't you?
It's me, Eddie.
I was looking
Hey,
for
Billy.
it. So jealous.
You can't find it. It's hidden. It's under the filters, but then there's an extra thing on filters called Studio Effects Beta. If you download the latest version.
That's just right.
Is it free?
Yeah.
You're not sure that's a Doug Rowe. I can't
I
handle
was
this.
gonna say make Doug jealous too, huh?
Because I found it, but I didn't have any options in there. It just showed that I can change my lip color, but it didn't do it.
Yeah, it did. It's very subtle. You have to choose the
Opacity.
yeah.
Subtle.
I went all the way to the right. And I went.
Yeah, you did. You went all the way.
You went
to
all the way
right.
to the went to the left.
Hey,
You went all the way somewhere. That's downright scary.
yeah. I guess I might need a hat too, huh?
You have a policy against
Might
politics.
need a bag. Hey, Jeff, a bag.
Ooh, man.
You need them big
Brown
shoes
paper.
too.
Brown paper bag.
Hey, I gotta
Keep
say,
flying.
Billy is back. Billy Bird is back with us. He really had a fight. Him and his wife had COVID. Billy, great to see you back with us, buddy.
Thanks, Eddie. I appreciate it. It's good to be back.
Good to see you.
Back.
I'm still on oxygen for the time being, but I'm alive.
That's always
Billy,
a good thing.
Billy, I'm rather jealous. I mean, I haven't shaved in almost 3 days. I don't look anything like you. I thought it'd bloom out and all.
Good to see you back, Billy.
Good to be here.
See, as Ronnie said a little while ago, folks, it's like family you want to hang out with. We can all talk, we can all chat, we share information, and that's what Worldwide Woodturn is all about. It's coming up on 7 o'clock, and we have one demonstration booked in tonight. We have a second demonstration that I haven't seen that guy come in, but he said he was having power problems with the internet, et cetera, et cetera. So he may join us, but we have a couple of programs in there for tonight. But I was on Facebook Facebook today, and I saw a guy that turned a barbel with different, like we talked last week with different barbels. His is 36 inches long.
Wow.
I wish I had his name. I didn't write the name down, but it is gorgeous. And there's been some really nice work being shown. I got to say, our website is growing. www.worldwidewoodturners.org. That's that thing right there. And thanks to Dave, our webmaster, we keep adding little features to it. He does. There's no we. He does. The thing about the 2x4 Club, that's Dave. He's got the map in, that's Dave. He's got the clock in, that's Dave. He's got the link in, that's Dave. He puts some pictures in. He edits the videos to put them on there so you can see the demonstrations. Yeah, that's all on our free website. So if you're interested, get there. Oh, there's who just saw Donald from Australia. He's got a better looking hat than you do, Jeff.
I don't know. I'm feeling kind of smart today. I look like Groucho Marx, huh?
Say the secret word.
There we go. How's that? A double-lidded hat. Man, I watched a World Western last night. I thought a guy had a cool hat. I gotta do that to my hat. Didn't live long, but
Too bad Ringling Brothers closed up, or you could get a first-class job there.
there we go. Hey, you know, I like that. That doesn't look like Clint Eastwood anymore, though, does it?
Hey, Jeff, it'll all work out because this is the greatest free show in the world. And you'd work right in. I mean, we got to get your monkey or something, but you'd be right there.
That hat reminds me of Crocodile Dundee. You call that a knife? This is a knife.
This is a knife. Oh, I got a knife.
We gotta have Donald say it, because aren't you in Australia, Donald?
Yeah, I'm an Aussie.
Yeah, go ahead and say it. Say it.
This is a knife.
Yeah.
That ain't a skew. This is a skew.
Nah, it's fun, real interesting. One of the ladies in the UK had told us her age. She's 60. When she says 60, it comes out sexy. So I made her repeat it again, and I just love it.
It's like she's a Kiwi.
I like this now. Ooh, I'm glad. Well, I finally waterproofed it, and I haven't worn it out yet, but I like that.
Okay, everybody's got their opinion on that. All right, folks, it's 7 o'clock, and you're tuned into Worldwide Woodturners. We get together each week, and I have to do this. I'm sorry, and I'll unmute you all in just a moment. But we get together on Wednesday evenings, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. See, Doug Rose got me worried about that. We get together each week, and you are invited to join us. There's no cost, no obligation, no commitment. All we want is to have you with us to put on a program that we can share information. As Ronnie said a little while ago, don't be hesitant to get involved. Don't be hesitant to participate. If you have a question, ask the question. If you have a suggestion, give us a suggestion. It is all about wood turning, and it's always going to be all about wood turning. A couple of rules: no business promotions, no politics, and we're going to stay clean and wholesome. No cursing. It bothered me today. I was watching some show on History Channel this morning, and they were talking to a guy about a car and all. It didn't make any sense because every fourth word had a different meaning to it. You know what I mean? And they had to keep bleeping them out. Well, we don't want to be there, and we won't go there. So we want to have good input from you. If you've got an idea, share it with us, please. All right, I'm going to. I thought I unmuted everybody. Are you? Test here, Kim.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're all unmuted. I thought I had it blocked off. All righty. Matt is going to be doing a demonstration for us tonight. Matt, are you with us yet?
I didn't think I was doing the demo, but isn't it somebody else? You. I said I'd be happy to talk about my pieces if somebody else was going to be doing the airbrush demo.
I think you might want me, Eddie.
Say it again.
I think Trace was going to do that.
Trace?
Hi, Eddie.
Paul Hannaby.
Yeah, I sent you an email about the airbrush demo.
Is that you? Is that you, Paul, who's going to do airbrush?
It was, yeah.
Okay, yeah, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's Paul.
Yeah.
If you still want me, that is.
Yes, we do.
I apologize, Paul. The email I got was routed through, and I thought it was another name, as it was. So I'm gonna back out of here. How do we do that?
You already.
There we go. Paul is with us from the UK. Hey, Paul.
Evening or morning. Right, yeah. Bit of a last minute thing, but I thought I could do a bit of a talk on airbrushes, different types, what you can do with them, and just a few little tips and tricks that you might find useful if you're using them. So I'll start off at the bottom with the compressor. This one here, it's an airbrush compressor. I thought when I bought this, I thought I'd go for one that's a moderate size. This one's a 2-cylinder, so it gives you a little bit more airflow and a little bit more pressure if you need it. So 2-cylinder, it's on this end, you can see there's a regulator with a dial there. You adjust this regulator here to get your pressure, and you've got your air outlet. And at the bottom of the regulator, you've got here a water filter. So that'll take any water out of the airflow. These are oilless compressors, so it won't put any oil into the airflow. That's really all there is to it.
Paul, what pressures do you run on your airbrush?
It depends on the paint I'm using. Full blast, that will do 60 psi or 4 bar. On a thin paint ink type, I would probably run about 20-25 psi. On some of the thicker ones, 30 to 40. But I adjust the airflow or the pressure I set to, depending on the paint. I mean, you can experiment with that. If you've got a compressor, then with a regulator, you can practice your airbrushing on piece of paper, a bit of cardboard, anything like that. I mean, I'll be doing a bit of that in a minute anyway. But you can get different techniques with adjusting the airflow as well. There's 1 or 2 sort of techniques you can actually go outside the normal range and do things with it. But anyway, that's just, I thought I'd just show you the compressor to start with. That's a useful aid. If you want to just have a go at airbrushing, you can buy the airbrush and just buy cans of compressed air. And it's a more expensive way of doing it, definitely, because you've got to keep buying cans of air. I'm just plugging my hoses into this compressor. What I've got on my hoses, let me just switch to this camera. Put it under there. That's the tip of my air hose there, and it's got a bayonet connector. So you slide that sleeve back there, and it's just a bayonet connector. These are very cheap. I buy them on eBay for, I don't know, about £3 or something like that. And I fit the other end of the bayonet to each of my airbrushes, so I can quickly swap airbrushes. And also that bayonet, when you take the airbrush off, it seals the hose, so you don't lose the pressure out of the tank. I'm just going to turn this tank on so it's pressurizing. Or it would be if I turn the power on. Yep, that helps. Right, so I'll just leave that pressurizing. So that's the compressor. I'll switch to over here. Quick sort of run through the types of airbrushes. This one here, that's what I used the last demo I did with those bud vases to spray spirit dyes, which are very thin. The advantage of this is what they call a single action airbrush, by the way. You've got on off basically with the button here. There you see the bottom, that's the bayonet connector to connect to my hose, and here you've got a preset nozzle to adjust the paint flow into the airstream. These work on a siphon effect. You've got a tube into the bottle, and that comes out at the top and attaches to the airbrush. So you're sucking the paint up there with what they call a Venturi effect. The air is passing across the end of this tube, and that's drawing paint up into the airflow. So what they call a siphon feed type. I find these great for those spirit dyes that I use on the vases and other things I use those dyes for, because I have one bottle with each color in. So when I want to switch colors, I just switch bottles. Or I've got a few of these airbrushes as well. So if I'm using 3 or 4 different colors, I might set up one airbrush with each color. If I'm going to use them more than once and keep switching back and forth, I'll set up a few airbrushes and just unplug one, plug another one in and go. But these are great from costs as well. These, I mean, this one cost me about £7.50, which is about $10 probably, not far off. So they're very cheap. There's not a lot you can do with them in terms of servicing them. You can clean these nozzles, that part comes off, but all the trigger mechanism, etc., in here, you can't take that apart. So they're not entirely serviceable. But having said that, I've got one of these that I've had for 20 years nearly, and it's still going. It's a little bit stiff on the trigger, but I think I bought about 8 years ago. I bought one to replace it, and I haven't had to throw it away yet. But it's still in use. So they are cheap and cheerful, but for that sort of blanket coverage, they're ideal. If you're not after precise lines and graphic design, then that sort of airbrush is great, especially with, as I said, the spirit dies. Moving on to the next one, this one, that's what they call a dual action, a sort of two action airgun. You've got the trigger here. I press that up and down to get air in, and I can go part way down with that. Whereas the other one, really, it's like a switch. It's sort of on or off. There's not a lot of control there. This one, you can regulate the airflow with the trigger if you're used to using it, and then you pull the trigger back to introduce ink into the airflow. So that's why they call them a sort of two action or dual action. And when I'm holding that normally, that's just all controlled with my finger, basically. One finger controls it all, and that's it. At the back here, you've got another little adjuster, and what that does is it's basically a stop for the needle. When I pull that trigger back to let the ink into or paint into the airflow, what I'm doing is I'm withdrawing a needle which runs through the whole body of that gun. And when you see that moving back at the back here, when I push the needle back, on the end here there's a little screw, and if I screw that in, you can't really see it on the camera, but what it does is it pushes a stop forward. And now that you see that trigger, if I wind that in, I can't move the trigger very far at all. So it acts as a stop for the needle. So if I want to set a stop at 50% paint flow, I just set it about there, and I know that the trigger won't go more than halfway back, even if I try and force it. So that's there for that purpose, and that's quite common on these dual action air guns. You also notice this one is what they call a gravity feed. You've got a cup above the airflow rather than below, so it's literally dropping the paint into the airflow when you press that trigger. So that's working in that way. The advantage of these is you put a few drops of paint in there and you spray it, and then you either add more of the same, or you can switch colors very quickly and very easily, and it's very economical on paint. You don't really waste much more than the few drops you've put in if you decide you've had enough of that color. So the paints last quite a long time. This type cost, I think it cost me about £30, so that's what, nearly $40. They start off a little bit below that, and they go up to considerably more. I've got another one here. This one, it's a similar style airbrush. It's got the same features as the first one, but it's also got here a regulator for airflow, so I can actually preset the airflow on the gun as well as on the compressor, so that gives me a little bit more control. This one's a more expensive one. That's a $250 airbrush, but in many respects those two do much of the same thing. The big difference for me between the two is this one has a 0.2mm nozzle, this one has a 0.5mm nozzle, and I bought this one to use thicker types of paint, and I use a whole range of different paints. I'll come to those in a minute. So you can get anywhere from, I think it's about 0.15 is the smallest nozzle I think you can get. It's certainly just below 2. I can't remember the exact number. Up to about 0.8 for most of the airbrush type paints, but you can get bigger nozzles for like enamel paints and all sorts of things like that. I think they go up to 1.2, 1.5. but most of the airbrush paints, you'll be in that 0.2 to 0.8 range. Common sizes are 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, and 0.8. As I said, this one's a 0.5, and I use that for the thicker paints, and that it blows an awful lot of paint through very quickly if you're using it on that type of paint. And you can use this on the thinner paints, but I mean, it just blows the paint through really quick. So I tend to use the one with a smaller nozzle. These do require a bit of maintenance. Always clean them thoroughly after you use them. Don't leave them to dry and come back to them the following day, because acrylic paint being what it is, and that's what I use in these acrylic paints. When it's dry, it's not easy to clean off. So do it before rather than after. But on the cleaning side, if I just put those to one side, I've got these. This is just a little set of airbrush sized bottle brushes, effectively. And on that ring there's 5 different sizes of brush. Very cheap. And this one's a similar thing, but it's, rather than being brushes, it's just twisted wires. So if you've got a blockage in your air gun, you can use these to clear it out. And again, these are very cheap and useful for clearing blockages if you get one. The brush is just part of regular maintenance. Give them a clean every now and again, strip down with those and clean them. When I reassemble these type, the dual action, after I've removed the needle, I put some of this in. This is an airbrush lubricant. That's the packet it came with. It's called Super Lube, and it's made by Medea. There are other manufacturers that make a similar product, but what this airbrush lubricant does is it helps the needle to slide where it's supposed to, and it also stops the paint sticking to the needle, so it makes it easier to clean when you come around to cleaning it. And you literally just put a smear of it on the needle when you reassemble it, and that's all there is to it. And to be honest, I don't put that on every time I clean the gun, but every now and again I'll take the needle out, make sure it's pretty much spotlessly clean, and then just put a smear of that oil on it and put it back together. So it's good insurance, basically. Just same with any tool, maintain it and it'll look after you, won't it? So it pays to look after them. Right, so that's the guns. Moving on to accessories. I use the gun sometimes just for graduated sort of coverage and painting sort of areas, but I also use it for, let me just do a share screen. I'll show you something that I do as well. That sort of thing. Can you all see that?
Yeah,
what that is, it's about a 16-inch sycamore platter. I think it's sycamore. And the way I've done the colors on that is using masking film. And you draw out your design, you cut it all through with a scalpel, and then you peel off areas selectively and spray them. So that's how that one was done. I'll show you the equipment I used to do that. First thing is this. It's a sort of semi-translucent film. It's got a paper backing on it, but when you peel that off, it's almost transparent, but it's got a matte finish, which makes it easier to draw on. I usually use a fine marker pen, but you can just about get away with a pencil on that. It's called Frisket film. That's the wrapper that was on it. That's basically what it is, Frisket film. So you can buy that by the roll, different lengths, different widths. This one's about a foot wide. That does most things. On that platter, I think I had to put two strips of it to cover the platter, but that's what I use. You can use masking tape and all sorts of other things to do masking, but on a large area, this is far easier than masking tape, and also you can see through it. It does come in transparent and translucent, I believe, and possibly gloss and matte, but I found the matte stuff better for writing on. So I stick that on and I do the design on the film and then cut through it. And the cutting through it bit, good scalpel is what you need for that. And you want, again, with any tool, you want it to be sharp. This one's just a simple medical type scalpel with a straight blade on it. that's great for a lot of what you do. The other thing I use is one of these, they call it an X-Acto knife. And you see the blade on the end there, it actually rotates. So as I change direction, the blade steers with it. So it's great. These are great for doing curves. So I have both types of knife and they both have their uses. When you're actually cutting this film, remember, and another useful accessory, cork. So put that on the end of the blade, and that goes in my box, and I'm not going to stab myself when I'm rooting around in the box trying to find it. So that's the accessories I use with the frisket film. Other things you might find them useful, things like this, French curves. So if you're marking out particular curves, they're quite useful, because on those three, there's just lots of different curves you can use. So they come in handy with some of the designs you might get into. Another one I've got here is just a little compass cutter. You've got your point there, which is obviously what you center it on. On this end, you've either got a little scalpel blade, which is what it's got on at the moment, or you can change that for a pencil lead. So you can either use it for drawing or cutting. And it's simple. You just undo that, set the width of your circle, tighten it up, and away you go. And these come in different sizes. This one will go up to 6-inch circle. So quite handy for marking out if you're trying to mark out circles. One tip with that, the point itself, if you're doing this on a piece of wood and you don't want to make indentations with the point, just get a little piece of plastic, like a piece of milk carton or something like that, piece of a yogurt pot, you put that under the point, so it stops it penetrating the wood. And you can even put a bit of masking tape over the piece of plastic so that doesn't move. So just to protect your work. Other useful accessories, just a small paintbrush, and I use these just for cleaning the airbrush. Obviously you can paint with them as well, but these are really good when you finish with the actual paint. As you get into the cup and you sort of brush it as clean as you can, and then blow it through. So I always keep one of those in the box with the airbrushes, just for use with cleaning. While we're on the subject of cleaning, one thing I've got here, this is one of the airbrush paint bottles. That's just full of water. When I finish spraying, I'll just put some water in there and spray it through. And it's just handy to have one or two of these bottles with water in for that purpose. I also use this stuff, which is an airbrush cleaner. And if you haven't got it, just a little bit of dishwashing detergent in water is probably the next best thing. To be honest, what's in there probably isn't a lot different to that. You just put a few drops of that in the air gun, brush out the little cup, and then blow it through. And when I'll show you the cleaning cycle I do when I've used the gun. I will do a little bit of spraying in a minute. But onto the different paints I use. A lot of people go for ones like these. These are Golden and Comart, the two makes I use. There are a couple of others out there as well. And with these come in 1-ounce bottles. I think they're about £4 a bottle, give or take. So that's what, $5-6 a bottle. You can usually buy a set, which brings the price down a little bit, as long as the colors you want are in the set, obviously. But there are loads of different colors of these, and you can mix and match. And also, both makes do translucent and opaque. So you can see there the Golden, at the top it says transparent. And on the one that isn't transparent, next to it, it doesn't say anything. So you see right at the top on that blue band, it either says transparent or it says nothing on the Golden. On the Comart, at the bottom, it says transparent, if it's transparent. And I'm just trying to find one that isn't. There's one. That one's a Comart and it says opaque. So on Comart, it tells you on both which it is. Whereas Golden, it either says it or it doesn't. So that's an opaque Golden because it doesn't say transparent. So hope that makes sense. These colors, you just twist the top and use it as a dropper. So they're very easy to use, and very economical because, as I said, you just put a few drops into the gun. Those types of paints, these are acrylic airbrush paints. These are probably as close as you're going to get to gallery quality. It says on this one light fastness 1. that's the highest number you can get on that light fastness scale. So they do vary. Some of them should have a lower light fastness rating, but the good paints usually tell you what the light fastness rating is. The cheaper ones probably don't. But those I really like. They come in lots of colors. You can augment them with additives. I mean, I've got one of these bottles the same size as this, which has just got a pearlescent medium in it, and you can either spray it over the colors or you can mix it with the colors and use it in either of those ways to get a pearlescent iridescence to it. One thing is probably worth saying about the opaque and the transparent. It's probably obvious, but I'll say it anyway. The opaque, if you spray that over another color, you start to obliterate the color beneath because it's opaque. You can't see through it. With the transparent paints, if you're spraying a transparent over something, what's beneath it will still come through. So you're mixing the colors because you've got one see-through paint on top of the other. So it depends on the effect you're trying to get. In terms of shading, you can mix these colors with white to lighten them, you can mix them with black to darken them, or you can spray that on and then you can overspray it with a mist of white or black, or what you get in these as well as the black is I mean, here I've got a transparent black, so I can spray that over any color to darken it. But you also get what they call smoke, like an opaque smoke or a transparent smoke, and that's used as a shade over the top, so you can darken your colors with the smoke shade on the top. So it's lots of ways you can combine colors to do different things. So going on to some of the other paints, another one I quite like are these Createx. These are all pearlescent or pearlized, it says. That's one. You can see here all the other colors, and they're quite in your face loud colors, but on the right piece that they work. I quite like them. I don't use them on everything, but on some things they work quite well. But they are quite loud colors, but yeah, I quite like them. These are thicker colors. And again, you can buy those as individual bottles, or you can buy the set. Let's just peel that off there, I don't want that. I'm trying to remember how much I paid for those, but it's a long time ago. I can't remember. I remember it was cheaper to buy the set rather than buy them individually. So I went and bought the whole set. And I think there's 14 different colors there, and they're all pearlized. So if you like that iridescent, you can use those. Also in the sort of pearlized iridescent range, you've got these. These are the chestnut iridescent paints. Again, airbrush acrylics. And they've got 9 different colors. And some of those are quite loud. And then chestnut have also got these, which are metallics. And there are 3, 6, 8 of those. You see there, I don't know quite how the metallicness shows through, but you can see on that one, it looks golden at that point. If I turn it over, it looks more purple. But if you give it a good shake, those colors mix, and that's supposedly a pink. But yeah, you can see there the sort of iridescence of it, the metallic element in there. So they're quite interesting. But all of those 3, the Createx and the 2 chestnut ones, they're the thicker colors that I would use with a bigger nozzle. A 0.2 millimeter nozzle really struggles with those, even if you thin it, which you can do, but even thinning it, it's down to the particle size of the paint as much as anything else. It's not just the viscosity of it. So I prefer the 0.5 nozzle for those. And when I use it, I've got some, this is a flow medium. This is an acrylic flow medium, and you mix that with the paint. I usually put, let's say I put 8 drops of paint and I'll put maybe 3 drops of flow medium and 3 drops of water, and mix that in the gun and then spray it. You can put more flow medium, you can put more water, it's up to you. But I just tried to thin it to the point where it flows nicely and sprays well. You can always control how much you're putting on with the gun. So that's the different colors. I'm just going to connect one of these up and we'll just do a bit of spraying. When we sort of came into the meeting earlier, I picked up this gun and it was feeling a bit stiff. This is the expensive one. This is what was it? I water that one. The needle was feeling a little bit stiff, so I quickly pulled the needle out, cleaned it off, put a little bit of that lube on, and put it back in. And now it's running free, so all good. If you've not used an airbrush before, it's helpful to just have a play with it, get used to it. So pick a color of paint. I'll do a dark blue here. These pots, by the way, have got a little agitator in them, so you shake them until you hear the ball rattling, and then shake it some more. You want that paint well and truly distributed, otherwise you've got the solvent at the top and all the actual paint at the bottom, so you're not going to get full use of the pigment. So I'll just give that a quick shake. I've set my compressor to, as I said earlier, about 20 psi for this paint, so I'll just check in where it is. It's about 25. I'll leave it there.
Hey, Paul, can I interrupt for one moment before you do that?
Of course.
Because it's the bottom of the hour, and we like to remind folks that they're tuned into the Worldwide Woodturners. And if you'd like to participate, Paul will take questions in a little bit. And we have another demonstrator that's going to show us technique in a little while. And all these demonstrations are free, and they're for you, the woodturner. So with that, stick around. We got a lot more coming. Paul is back with us again. Paul, I'm out of here.
Okay. One thing to bear in mind with the compressor, I'm just going to show you some spraying with this one. What comes out of the nozzle, imagine a cone. So the closer you get to the nozzle, the narrower the area of spray. So I'll demonstrate that and show you a couple of things you can do here. I'm just going to put a few drops in here, literally 5 drops of paint in there. So if you can see this piece of paper here, I'm just going to move that so I can see where the edge of it is, so I know what I spray is going to appear on the camera. Right, so I'm going to spray this from about 6 inches above the paper. I'll do it over that side, and I'm pushing the trigger down, and you can see nothing's coming out. So until I pull the trigger back, nothing will come out. So I start to withdraw the trigger. You can see there, paint. So I'm not moving, just do a solid blast of paint, and that's about 2 inches coverage at 6 inches. If I want a thicker line, I'll come a bit farther away. I'm now probably 8-9 inches away. So you can see it's taking longer to cover it, but it's a bigger circle. And now if I come in really close, I'm literally 1/4 of an inch away. Bring the trigger back so it starts to spray. And you can see there I can pretty much write with it. And I'm just off the paper there, so you can go from this down to a pencil line pretty much, and anywhere in between. One useful sort of practice thing you can do with this, I remember seeing this in, it's either in a book or on a video I watched, but a good way of practicing with your airbrush is as you get close, you draw some lines like this. I'm doing it a bit quick, but you get the idea. You draw some lines there, and you basically make a cross pattern like that, and then you use it as for target practice, and you point your gun at one of those intersections and then spray paint, and the idea is to try and hit where the lines cross. So it's just good for getting your eye in on aiming the gun at the paper.
Teach muscle memory.
So that's just a good one for practicing. Other things you can do is sort of create a circle and try and shade it, and you can sort of create a cube and shade that, things like that. I'm just doing this roughly here, but you can sort of start on one side and shade lightly, and then put more color in on the other side, and adjust the distance of the gun and see how that works out. So you can put shading on So just get a bit of paper or a bit of cardboard and just get a feel for using the gun. And once you've done a bit of that, I mean, I don't use this terribly often, so I wouldn't call myself the best airbrusher in the world, but with what I do, I can get by and do the sort of either the masking techniques or the blanket coverage. I've just put a few more drops of paint in here because I've just about used up. But what I did there, I did with that 5 drops of paint I put in initially. So that's about it on the sort of the accessories and the colors and stuff. Anyone got any questions at this point?
So do you dilute the paint at all, or is it just straight paint?
It's airbrush paint. It's acrylic airbrush paint. The stuff in these little bottles, these Comart and Medea ones, Comart and Golden ones, they are really like an ink. It's very thin, but they spray really well in these guns with fine nozzles. So that's what I use them for, because they spray well. But yeah, I mean, it's all airbrush paint. All of these colors I showed you, that's exactly what they are. They're sold as airbrush paints.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you there. You said something about spraying dyes with them. Do you use the alcohol-based dyes or the water-based?
I do,
dyes?
yes. I use the chestnut spirit dyes, and I use those in this type of gun, the single action gun with the bottles. And I have a different bottle with each color in. And I find that a much more convenient way of using it because I can just switch bottles when I want to change color. I don't have to clean it out. All I do is blow the gun onto a bit of tissue or a bit of scrap cardboard or anything, just to blow through the remains of the previous color before I start spraying the new color onto the wood. Or as I said earlier, I set up 3 or 4 of these if I'm using a few colors and constantly switching. You know, these guns are so cheap. I've got a few of those. They're very sort of convenient to use in that way. But yeah, these are the ones I use with spirit dyes.
Does the alcohol, is there, I'm assuming there's O-rings in there somewhere. Does that
There
alcohol?
is, yes. Yeah, I mean, the spirit dyes are methanol based, aren't they? Methylated spirits based, or denatured alcohol, I think you call it over there.
Right.
Rather than ethanol based. But yeah, I mean, that might still have a sort of degrading quality on the O-rings. But as I said, the one of these I've had for nearly 20 years still works. I can't do much to take the needle apart if I did have to replace the O-ring, but as I said, they cost me £7.50, which is probably just under $10. And if it's lasted me 20 years for that price, I think I've got my money's worth. I wouldn't worry about the O-ring. I'll just buy another gun.
And
right.
folks, if you're wondering about the O-rings, like Johnny just asked about, the paint product does not pass through or over an O-ring. Is a Venturi. The O-ring
on
is
most
mainly,
guns, it doesn't. You're right. Yeah. I mean, on here, you've probably got an O-ring back here in the actual needle in the airflow, but the paint is introduced at the front end. It's introduced at the nozzle. It doesn't go through the trigger, and the same applies to the other gun. Actually, when you put the paint into the flow on these, let me just switch around on these gravity feed. Your nozzle's back here. That might have seals on it, but the needle basically seals in a hole that's just a hole in the nozzle. There is no O-ring there at that point. So
okay.
I think the only O-rings in here are on the airflow.
But if you are cleaning these guns, if you're cleaning these brushes, do not put them in a jar of cleaner like people would do paintbrushes. No, you need to protect those O-rings. Don't soak that thing. Just clean it.
Yeah.
Get away from it.
Yeah, I mean, this what I was saying about maintenance. These cheap guns, the black plastic ones, you can't do a lot with them. This type of gun, you can usually strip it down every single part of it, take all the seals out, take the springs out, etc., clean it all, put it back together. I don't normally strip it down completely, but you can. I can see on here there is an O-ring here where the cup goes onto the gun, because on this one it comes with 3 sizes of cup, so I can replace that with a bigger or smaller cup. That's a medium size. This one, the Iwata, the gun is an integral the cup is an integral part of the gun. You can't take it off, so there's no O-ring there either. Whereas on this one there is. You can, I don't know if you can make it out on the camera, but just there's a little red O-ring. But that one's easily replaceable should it ever need to be. But I'm going to switch over to the lathe.
I have a quick question for you. On the individual bottles, is there any indication as to what size tip you should be using that paint with?
No, not on any of the ones I've seen.
Okay, so you just have to learn which one to use by experience.
I think I remember vaguely with the com art. It doesn't say on the bottle, but it does somewhere. I think it was either on the web or somewhere. I looked up the paint. It might have been on the site I bought them from. I can't remember, but they did suggest a needle size for the com art paint, and it was.
But basically so basically on a thinner paint, you're going to want the smaller nozzle size, and the thicker paint, you're going to use the larger nozzle size. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I mean, with these golden and com art paints, I just put them neat into the gun as they are. With the Createx or the chestnut paints, I'll thin that with a bit of flow medium and a bit of water. You can thin them with just water, but I find flow medium and water, you get a better flow with it. So that's what I do. Any other questions at this point?
I've had some problems with the alcohol that it actually dries before it hits the surface sometimes when I was spraying it.
They do dry quick. Yeah, definitely. The airbrush paints dry quick because you're blowing it through. Well, obviously, you're putting airflow in there, and if it's not dry before it hits the paper, it dries very soon afterwards. But you get what they call sort of a paint freeze or something like that. You can get the paint building up around the tip of the nozzle. So right in here where the tip of the nozzle is, you can get paint drying on the tip of the needle, and that can cause inconsistencies in the spray pattern and problems with spraying. But you just take the two little covers off, clean the tip, put it back together, and you should hopefully good to go again. So, but yeah, that's caused by the paint literally drying as it's leaving the gun. So it can be a problem. Perhaps not so much here in England in our cold, damp environment, but in some parts of your country, no doubt that could be an issue where it's much warmer and drier. But yeah, occasionally I've noticed a problem with paint drying on the tip of the nozzle, so it can happen. Right, let me switch to camera. Right, so this one's on the lathe. You see here, I just put a screw chuck on. And I'm just going to put a piece of wood on there, but I thought before I put the piece of wood on, I just wanted to show you. I'm just trying to put this gun down without losing the paint. That is just steel, but you can see it doesn't look very steel. That's got many layers of paint over it, but I think I mentioned it on my last demo. This is how I get rid of it. Just a wire brush, run the lathe. And I'm just going to run that against the bottom of the screw chuck like this. Let's give it a good scrub. So you can see it's actually coming back to steel color, and I can do that bit in there as well. So a little bit longer and I'll get rid of all the paint. There's still a bit on there, but if I persevere, I'll get rid of the rest of it. But that's all I do to clean it. But to be honest, it doesn't matter what color the screw chuck is, as long as it works as far as I'm concerned. So what I'm going to put on here is a blank I've got pre-prepared. And this is one of the other things I do in demos, so I might do that at another stage. But today's was just going to be a fairly short talk with a little bit of demonstrator. So what I've got here, this is actually pine. So this is another one for my 2x4 club entry. This is yellow pine. I've turned the outside to a bowl shape, but still solid. So it'll go on the screw chuck. And what I've coated that with is acrylic gesso, white acrylic gesso. And I've textured it. Again, that if I do that demo in the future, I'll show you how we do the texture as well. But I'll set my lathe running pretty slow, like 150 RPM, 100 RPM, something like that. What you don't want to do is run it very fast, because you might have paint coming off it if you run it too fast. But as I said, this paint dries fairly quick, and you're putting on thin coats anyway. But I'm going to use the blue on this. So I've got my gun here. You probably aren't going to see the gun in the picture, but you'll certainly see the color change. I'm going to hold it about 6 inches away, and I'll start on the top edge with that same blue. And it's just starting to change color. And what I want to do is go about 2/3 of the way down with that. So that's just put a blue shade on it down to about here. But it's quite a light shade. You probably can't make out a lot of color on the camera yet. But I want to fade this from dark blue at the top to light blue 2/3 of the way down. And I'm moving my gun sideways fairly slow because I don't want to put diagonal lines in it. So I'm putting more color at the top than I am at the bottom and trying to get a fairly consistent, just put a bit more color in there. But that was the coverage from about 6 drops of paint. And as I said, I'm spraying from about 6 inches away. Come to 2/3 of the way round, back up to the top. And I want solid blue at the top and fading as it goes down. So I'm trying to get that graduated paint effect. So hopefully that shows up on the camera. And I've blown the rest of that paint through now. So that's all my blue done. It's always handy to keep a bit of kitchen towel around. Just clean the tops of these paint bottles when you close them. And I'm going to do the bottom half with a red. Find it. I've got one here. It just says bright red. So I'm going to go with that one. But before I put the red in, I'm just going to blow some water through. So I put a few drops of water in the gun. And I'll just show you here. I've just got water in there. So I'll blow that onto a piece of tissue. I'm not going to clean the gun properly, just literally blow through the excess there. That's good enough. I can now go to my red. If I'm going from a light color to a dark, I probably won't be too fussy about cleaning it. But if I go from a dark to a light, or such a significant change as blue to red, then yes, I do blow it through with some water first. So I've got some red here, put a few drops of that in.
I usually try to plan my painting to go from light colors to dark colors for that very reason.
Yeah, I mean, often I'll spray the light colors first. It's just that I happen to have the blue in the gun because I was doing that practicing over there. So I'll start at the bottom this time with the red. And again, I'll do a graduated blend from solid red at the bottom, fading it out as I come up. You can use as many or as few colors as you like on this. This one's a transparent red, so I might switch to an opaque red to get a stronger color. Let's see what I find in my box. Got a few different ones. But that paint I'm spraying on is drying almost as quick as it's hitting the surface. But if you want to, if it's not drying fast enough for you and you want to speed that up, what you can also do is just spray the gun air only. So you just spray air onto the surface to dry the paint. So you stop blowing paint, but you just blow in air and dust that across the surface for a little while, and that will dry the surface, and then you could put more color on it. Particularly if you're using the masking films, you don't want to put too heavy a coat of paint on in one go because it can bleed under the masking film. So you put a light coat on, let that dry, and then put another one. Don't ask me how I know about that bleeding problem.
You read about it. I know that.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, I'm doing it again now, doing the red with an opaque red, and we'll see how that one looks. So we've got dark red at the top, fading out as it comes up into the blue. So we've got a fade from red to blue. I do these in sort of a number of different color combinations. I can grab a few on there, but that's the basic process. Once that's done, and that pretty much is done, I'll seal it with acrylic lacquer, and I usually use a satin lacquer rather than a gloss. I don't want those to be high shine. The satin lacquer for me is the level I want, so I'll just do it with that. So if I come back over to this one, let me just turn the lathe off. So I'm just going to clean the gun out now, and here you can see in the cup it's got red and blue. So I'm just going to put some water in, give that a shake, and blow it through onto my bit of kitchen towel here. So that's got most of that through. Then I can go to my airbrush cleaner. Again, put a few drops of that in the gun. And this time I'm going to pick up the paintbrush, just work that into the bottom of that cup and clean all around it. And you can even clean around the outside of the cup if you've got a bit of spillage on the outside of it. So work that right down into the bottom, clean and loosen any paint that's in there. Put the brush to one side, and then you can blow that through. Another tip: if you put your finger over, or the tissue over the end of the gun like this, and then spray, you see what happens? It bubbles back through. So you're blowing through and blowing it back. So you're getting a sort of a double clean. Blow a bit through, bubble it through again, and then blow it all through. And that helps to sort of clean the nozzle and blow back through the nozzle into the gun. So it gets it pretty clean. So I've blown all that through now. Just go back to the water, a few drops of water in there, give it a shake, and again, spray it into the kitchen tissue here. And when I've done that, and I think the gun's clean, I'll just unscrew the cover on the tip. Be careful when you do that, because that exposes the tip of the needle, and it is very sharp. It's a very small point, and it's also quite delicate because it is so small. So I'll just clean the tip there, put the gun down, pick up the nozzle I've just taken off, and just with the corner of the tissue, just clean inside that cup, because you do get a bit of a build-up of paint in that one particularly, because that's where the paint is sort of forms into that spray nozzle, into the conical spray. So put that back on to protect the tip, tighten that up again, and a quick blow through of air just to clean the gun, and that's it, it's done. So that's ready to go for the next one. So that's about what I had to show you. Have we got any other questions? Oh yeah, I was going to show you some more bowls, wasn't I? I'll just grab a couple.
While you're doing that, I have a.
Pardon?
While you're doing that, I have a safety question. Would you normally be wanting to wear some kind of breathing protection while you're doing this, or is this not enough paint to wear?
I would say it's a good idea. Normally that would be a good idea. I mean, you're putting paint vapor into the air, and certainly if you're in a confined space, you want some sort of mask on to give you some filtration.
Okay.
So yeah, a mask is a good idea. Either that, or do it somewhere where you've got plenty of ventilation, so it's all being blown away from you. Do it outside, or if you've got the option to have doors open at both ends, so your air's blowing through your workshop, do that. But yeah, definitely consider a mask if you think you've got a sort of a significant amount of air in the paint in the air. I mean, these probably aren't as bad as cellulose-based paints that you get in spray cans, but still take precautions, I would say. Yeah.
Thank
you.
You
Also might note that too much wind can affect your spray patterns. You can blow and alter the spray pattern, so just be a little.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want it to be blowing a gale, but a gentle breeze might be helpful. But yeah, I'll show you these other bowls. This one's made out of ash, and again, I haven't finished these yet, but you can see there we've got sort of gradual. I'm just going to switch to the other camera. It's probably easier. That one there is a yellow to blue, so it's sort of got green in the middle where the yellow and blue have combined. This one's got a bit of texture on it. I don't know quite how well that gun shows it up, but the texture is basically created with the gesso. This one is also ash. And that was sort of my original series of these. I did about half a dozen different bowls in different colors, and the colors were sunsets. And this is one of those sort of sunset colors. You've got purple, orange, yellow, and at the top, the other way around, yellow and orange and purple. I quite like that one. I like that color sort of combination. I've been using that.
I like
for quite
that
some
color,
time.
Paul. Paul,
Yeah.
does the wood make any difference in how it takes the paint, or does the gesso take care of that?
Not a great deal, because I use gesso on top, but
Okay.
because I'm basically obliterating the grain on the outside of the bowl, I try and avoid an interesting blank. If I got some plain bits of wood like sycamore, or I mean ash is a light coloured wood, so I'll use ash sometimes. Lime, beech, anything like that. They're all the sort of the woods I would try and use, and I suppose on the scale of, if you're buying blanks, they're the cheaper ones anyway. But I've got another one here which is also ash. So I've done quite a lot in ash because I just got lots of ash, and that one is a purple and a green, again with a bit of texture. But I do a few different textures on these. But as I said earlier, that's probably for another demo, another day. But,
what are the dots on that bowl? It looked like white dots on it. What was that?
It's a texture. It's the base coat I'm using is acrylic gesso, artist acrylic gesso. Let me find the pot. I'll show you what it is. Here we go. That one. White gesso primer. This one's Winsor & Newton. There are a few other paint makers that make this stuff, and artists use it for coating and undercoating the canvas before they start putting the colors on. So this is a primer for a canvas basically, and it's a mixture of acrylic and I believe it's got some plaster of Paris in it. But when it dries quite hard, and it's quite resilient. But it's quite thick. It's got a consistency of yogurt, and I use that to create texture. And what I do is I put it on the wood, and use either pretty thick, heavy brushes or other tools to put texture into the gesso. And that's what comes through with the color. But yeah, like I said, I'll do another demo on it one day with, and I'll show you the different textures I create and how I do them. That's probably.
What type of finish will you put on top of that?
Satin acrylic lacquer.
Light coats, light coats.
Yeah,
so you
I
get
don't
rubs.
want a high shine on those, so I avoid the gloss lacquers altogether. But satin finish for me is perfect. I mean, I usually use the chestnut one, which is in the green can like this. That's the one I use, and it's acrylic as well, so it's compatible with all the colors I've put on. It's all acrylic paints, acrylic lacquer, so it all works together.
And you don't get any type of crackle effect or nothing, right?
No, it doesn't. No, because they're all acrylic. They all work together, so that works fine.
Okay.
All I want to thank you for a great demo this evening, sir, and appreciate that.
Okay.
And a lot of technique in the program tonight. That's what we look for from our members, and we will look forward to doing another demo with you, sir. Let's set it up.
I will at some point. I'll maybe that's what I'll do for the next demo. Is the texturing that I create with the gesso. But if anyone wants to go look at my website, which is at the bottom of my video there, creativewoodturning.com, there's a few examples of these bowls on my website.
Okay.
So a few different color combinations.
Again, thank you, Paul. Fantastic program tonight, and we appreciate. I have to let me see.
Thank you.
Hey, Paul, the airbrush cleaner, is it depend on what type of paint you're using, the cleaner, or is it just one cleaner for all?
I mean, this cleaner is really, it's intended for the acrylic paints. If you're using different types of paint, I suggest you use either the solvent that works with the paint or a specific cleaner for that. I mean, these acrylic paints are mainly water-based, so I think that cleaner is just water and perhaps some detergent. But that works. It cleans the gun. If you're using enamel paints, for example, you probably want like a cellulose thinners or something like that. So I suppose it depends on the paints you're using as to what you should clean the gun with. But with the
here's a safety tip: if you clean with something that's flammable, don't do it near your machine.
Yeah, good idea. But I mean, going back to this type of gun, the one I use with the spirit dyes, those are methanol based, so that is potentially flammable. As Eddie said, be careful where you're spraying that. But when I finish with that, the way I clean it is I've got another bottle with just methylated spirits, or denatured alcohol as you call it, and I blow that through to clean the gun. But yeah, what's coming out is potentially flammable, so be careful where you spray it.
And you can run lacquer or polys or something like that through those airbrush guns as well.
You can, yeah. As long as you use the right solvent for cleaning them,
right?
Then in theory, yes. I mean, they've only got small cups, so you aren't going to spray a big area with them unless you're going to keep filling it up. But it depends on what you're trying to spray, I suppose. If you're just spraying a small piece of work, then
no, just for your wood project, for the final coat.
For turning projects, you could do that. And these gravity feed guns are pretty. I mean, as you saw there, it was pretty quick and easy to clean. So
very important. You got me hooked.
Good.
Yeah.
If anyone's got any questions, if you find my website, you'll find my email. So you can always send me an email, and I'm happy to answer questions if anyone's got any.
Right on. Thanks, Paul.
And put the information you want to get or whatever in our chat. Remind you that at the bottom of at the 9 o'clock, when you leave, we turn the switch off at 9 o'clock. When you leave at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Daylight Time, Central Standard Time, save the chat. You'll have the chat there. You're on Worldwide Woodturners. It's coming up on 8 o'clock in the evening, or our second hour. We talked for a little bit in the first hour, and now we're coming up on. I believe we have a second demonstration lined up. We're going to get to that in just a few moments. But I saw that Ron Radcliffe in. I'm trying to find it now. Ron Radcliffe has in his backdrop. He's got a guy sitting over here on the side. Well, I know where the guy came from. This is what I found when I walked in my shop yesterday. He's got his dust mask on and everything, so I guess it's all right. He left a mess behind, but that's something we bump into occasionally. Ron, I can't get Ron up on the screen right now, but Ron Radcliffe has got one lurking around his shop today.
Isn't it interesting how some things just go viral and you see them everywhere all of a sudden?
Ron.
There he is. There he is in the back.
Ron, who's your friend?
There he is.
Friend.
It's like the same friend as Eddie's.
He just walked in. I don't know who he is.
I don't know. I've met that guy. I wouldn't let him anywhere near my shop.
What is it? What is that? Occupy your grinder?
Yeah.
All right, Ron. Thank you, sir. And I have something to show you, folks. I'm gonna get back on it.
I got you, Eddie.
All right, screen. Last week, and I'll switch over to another camera so you can see it. I'm gonna go over here and bump it up. There we go. This is what we were talking to last week, a tenon jig. And it's what in Britain they call a spanner, but it's a crescent, an open end wrench. But see, Martin, I learned about which end is in, which end is what. So I bought them with a ring at a Harbor Freight. And that way I've got my 3/8, half, quarter, and if I need to, I'll reshape the 5/16. But I don't think I'm going to do a 5/16. But if you're doing a tenon, these are extremely good. You enter with the large blade on the bottom, and you're scraping with the top, and you can get an exact size tenon. So if expanding on what Martin showed us last week, I've got a total of $3.23 in this set of wrenches from Harbor Freight. They're not great steel for doing mechanic work, but they're fantastic steel for doing wood shaping or making tenons.
Just like a mechanic, you can't find a 5/8 either.
You can't find a 5/8 wide.
The 10 millimeter is always missing.
Because your 5/8 is always missing.
No, it's a 10 millimeter.
You can buy it 5 times. You can buy it 5 times in one day, and you'll still won't be able to find a 5/8 in your chest. Or at least I can't.
Yeah, I'm with you on the 10 millimeter.
That's the magic one, man. Hey, you know, now you're called a frugal turner, Eddie.
Hey, be careful with that term. I'd rather be known as cheap. Right. A couple other notes tonight, if you're just joining us, folks. Good evening. This is Worldwide Wood Turners, and it is your wood turning club. I'm just the moderator. That's all I am. We have started something with the help of the club, and we tease about it as being the 2x4 club. And that is go create something out of a 2x4. And I got membership. I got a full membership today. When I came in and made a pencil, this is my 12-cent pen with a little Bic ink pen insert. But this is 2x4. And what I've got is I shaped it, I sanded it, I put 4, 5, or 6, or 8, or 9 coats of CA on it, buffed it in between, and this is one slick, easy pen. And the groove right here, that's not design, or it is design, it's utilitarian. This won't slip out of my iPad case. So if you want to join, or you are a member of the 2x4 club, if you've already been and we missed your name, send the information to our webmaster, Dave, and he'll add it to a program that gives you a name tag. And I lost mine. Well, it was Johnny uses name tag, but it'll give you a name tag making you an honor, a full-fledged member of the 2x4 club. And what else we have? We're looking to collect images of 2x4 work, and when you have them, send them to our webmaster on our website, or send me a copy. I'll use them in the newsletter, we'll put them on the program and such like that. We'd like to collect the work, the art that you produce. It's important to us, very important to us. All right. I believe we have another demonstration lined up. And Trey, are you available at this time?
Got a safety moment too.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, we have a safety moment too.
Oh, well, let's do the safety moment before we go to Trey. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I lost. Yeah, there we go.
Jeff.
Hey, late last meeting, a couple people brought up about tying beards and hair back, long sleeve, long sleeves. Make sure if you have long sleeves on, either pull them up and make sure they're not hanging in baggy. No jewelry. We saw rare earth magnets. One of the things with rare earth magnets, you start, sticking them back and forth each other. They have a tendency to shatter because they're really strong. So be careful with that. That's about it for tonight, guys and girls. And be safe. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Hey, Eddie, Matt's got something to show on a couple pieces for airbrush that he wants to show.
Matt.
Go ahead,
Hey,
Matt.
You guys have seen this one. This is black gesso, and then the colors are airbrushed, and then you dish out the bowl at the and do the carvings after that. So that's one thing to do. I use stencils. So this piece here is just done with stencils and airbrushing.
Wow, it looks 3D.
Yeah, well, that was the whole point. And I did this on the back also with stencils, very poorly, but. And then this is based on some of Nick Agar's work. This is done with airbrush stencils and airbrushing also. So, and then I took it somewhere else.
A little bit of fire.
Yeah, mostly black. And then one of the other things I've done with this is also done with airbrushing, and you get some real interesting sort of effects when you're going over a drop with the airbrush. The paint does interesting things. So the way I did this one is I outlined the Celtic knots with wood burning first, and then I sprayed the black, and then I sprayed the red and then the black, and then painted the silver by hand afterwards.
Now, did you put primer down on the wood first, or?
No, these there's no primer. If I've got anything on these, like this piece of wood here is maple, you can see the grain. The only primer that I might use is sanding sealer. Okay. So, but I mean, there's one of the things you got to be concerned about with spraying on wood is if you're using the transparent like Createx paints. I love those; they're great paints. But if you're using them, they are transparent, and if you're spraying like blue on mulberry, which is yellow, you're going to get green. Okay. So you got to pay attention to the color of the wood behind it if you're not using a white primer or a black primer or something.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
that,
you.
sir.
Yep.
Matt, did you spray the Celtic knot around there? Was that hand done?
No, I did this by hand. Okay. This is something that I do a lot of. I have an obsession with Celtic knots. So one of the things about Celtic knots is they're geometric. So you can lay the pattern out using your lathe stops. Okay. You're basically drawing around dots that are laid out in a geometric fashion. Okay. So then you draw the lines around the dots, and you can order it very easily that way.
Yeah,
So,
I'd like to do that.
yeah, and then but I did it by hand. Something that I mean, I've done a lot of those, so I'm good at it.
Yeah, very nice. I like that.
Good job, man.
You know, that almost sounds like a volunteer to do a demo on that, so he can show you how to lay it out. That's the outside ring, center ring, inside ring,
I'd
and
be
then
happy to do that. I'd be happy.
and
to
then
do
the-
Good to
the
me.
stop.
Yeah, I was
I can
hoping
do-
he'd
I
off.
can do variations too. So.
All right. With that, Trey Lynette is with us, and he has offered to do a little something tonight on technique with the airbrush. Trey, if you're ready, we're ready, sir.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. First thing I do is I'm going to show you a couple pieces I've done that are airbrushed. This is an airbrush piece. It's the different lighthouses that we have around from Ship Island. And this is all that is all airbrushed, including the texture and everything on it.
I want to
Here's another. Zoom out.
Yeah, just a little bit. There you go.
Okay. Okay. This is another piece that's been airbrushed, and I was putting a bamboo pattern around the outside of it. On it, and then add a little butterfly on the back of it. Add some character to it. But what we're going to do today, I'm going to talk about airbrushing. Here's a couple items that I've done. Some different practice pieces and stuff, airbrushing. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to talk about, and fortunately, what I'm going to do is totally different than what was done before. It's Pat, right? That just did the demo? Paul, you did an excellent demo, and on doing what you're doing. So what I want to cover, and I'm using the same airbrush as he was using. Both, this is has a larger tip on it. This one has a very small tip. It's a micron type tip. But what I want to do is show you what different stencils do to it. I'm going to show you a stencil, what's happening with it. And we'll put a couple of drops of Let me put an opaque purple in it. Put a couple drops in. And I'm just going to lay a stencil up on the side of it. Now what I'm going to do to start with, when you start spraying, you need to start spraying off of the piece that you're doing just to make sure that you're getting a good spray, that you get a good spray pattern, don't get a lot of dots and everything else in it. I'm going to make the first pass here, right down this border, right on the edge. And you can see I have a nice crisp edge there. Next one I'm going to do, I'm going to actually come in and spray further over, and it's a little heavier. But the next pattern I'm going to do on this is I'm actually going to spray, the center of my spray never touches the pattern, edge of the pattern. And you can see I still have a line down that I sprayed. So you can get a very, very, very fine edge on that from doing that. The other thing that controls the edge is whether your stencil is down flat, or in this case, let me pick it up, see if I can pick it up and keep it up. And if you notice that edge there, it's a sort of fuzzy edge. It's not a real solid edge on it. So by keeping the stencil all the way down, you get a nice crisp edge on this here, including on this one. But this one, it's sort of muted back under because you're getting underspray back underneath the pattern. Some different things that you're on doing that. Other patterns that you can work out. I just ripped a piece of tissue paper off, or not tissue paper, but
Paper towel.
just paper towel. That gives me a very natural edge across that. You get a real natural edge with the paper towel. You can also do a similar thing with a piece of paper. And it'll give you a slightly different edge because it tears differently.
Yeah, I was just writing that. Clouds and mountains.
Yep. Gives you really nice different effects on some of this on that. So just, you know, but you can keep a natural organic thing in there. And I don't have any handy right now, but another thing that works real well is, well, maybe I can get a piece, is cotton. See if I can get enough off of here to make it work. But the cotton works real well. We'll put another pattern down from it. This works real well, especially in clouds. Let's spray heavy and see what's happening. You're getting a lot of spray through on doing that.
You got to hang on to it because sometimes the air will push your quote stencil unquote off and around.
Yes, it will. Yep, it will. So I'm just doing a couple of quick things of that nature. Let's grab another stencil and this is a very easy thing to do. It's easy to do a ball. I have a round stencil, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on this area here and then lightly hit this top section. So concentrate on the bottom and real light on the top. Now I have a three-dimensional ball. Ooh, and it doesn't take, so you saw how easy that was. So it's just using the stencil and concentrating on the sides of it. The other thing, this is a piece of Frisket, and I'm going to go ahead and actually do this butterfly on doing it and show how I would doing it. I've actually cut out, there's a bunch of things on it. I've actually cut this section here out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask some areas off so I don't get overspray on them. Because I don't want to overspray everything else. Let's go ahead. I'll do purple in this first area. I'm on the Frisket testing it. Next, let me get the head. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and do bring the body out. And I've already cut this, so all I'm gonna have to do is peel the sections off of it. I don't want to peel that long. I'll kill the phone. Okay, I'm going to go in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just the outside edges around that edge. This is a double action airbrush. All right, now let's go ahead and clean it out. And by the way, I recommend distilled water when you're doing paint. It's not that expensive, and it ensures that that something doesn't affect the paint color from what you're using. You mix it or whatever in there, so. I'm switching to red, so. Oh, I don't have a brush. I'd set a paintbrush here and don't see it. I'll just use this one.
While Trey is setting up a minute, pardon me, this is Eddie Castle and Cat and Eddie. While Trey is setting up, we will start our gallery at 8:30 tonight. If you've got something you'd like to show of a gallery, you text, or you chat, mail Dane and tell him I have something to show. Dane will start the list, and we'll start at 8:30. And remember, the clock goes off at 9 o'clock. And but we welcome your input. Dane, we're back to you again, Trey.
Okay. Let me grab this next thing of Frisket out of here. And when I'm doing this type of paint, I'm doing it the other way around. I put the darker colors first. Because if I get an overspray, I would rather have the overspray with a lighter color. I can get by with overspraying the darker color with a light color, but not vice versa. With respect to wood, directly on wood, do not sand any finer than 320. If you go finer than 320 with it, you may have an adhesion problem with your paint. And as I'm doing this, let me add another thing. If you wind up getting an airbrush that's really, really dirty, one thing that does cut acrylic paint is lacquer thinner. So if you've got an airbrush that's totally clogged up and everything, I've actually taken Iwata airbrush and soaked it in lacquer thinner overnight to clean it. I don't know about some of the other brands. Most of the quality airbrushes are going to have good. The gaskets and stuff will be resistant to most solvents, or should be.
I have both an Iwata and the Harbor Freight ones, and I've done that too. Lacquer thinner is great stuff. No problems.
Yeah, it'll take care of all that. All this stuff on here, lacquer thinner will take it right off.
It also works good on your stencils if you want to reuse your stencils if you're doing them out of thicker vinyl or something like that.
Yep. Okay, I've got a red in here. So we're going to come back. I'd start spraying off. Well, I've got some bad drops of something in there. It's water.
Lower the piece, try to get it in the camera. Go towards your left. There you go. Thank you.
I just got to drop it back down where it needs to go. And I'm actually spraying it on the edge of stuff to try. Instead of spraying stuff directly on it and having solid colors, I'd like to have a little bit of transition. So. Okay.
It sort of adds to the 3D effect too.
Yes, it does. Okay, that was the red.
Now, what size is your nozzle tip, Trey?
That one there, I consider it's a medium. It's a standard Iwata. It sprays most of this stuff in there. This other one is a micron, which is a very fine tip. But the micron also allows a lot finer control. Now, you had talked about getting an airbrush for trying to spray an outside of something, of a bowl or something, for your finish.
Right.
I have tried that and it does not work worth a damn.
Okay.
What works is going and buying what they call a touch-up spray gun for automotive spray gun, but a touch-up type spray gun. That works beautifully. Gravity fed, that works extremely well for that type of work.
Like the HVLP sprayers. Yep. I completely agree with Trey. Yep.
And I'm using it. It's a VLP sprayer, and I did find another thing on those two is that quality makes a lot of difference.
Right.
On those particular spray guns. When I had the one that had a lower quality, cheaper gun, I had more problem with it running and getting runs in it. Now with a high quality gun, I don't have that problem.
Makes sense.
Okay. Now what I have here is yellow. Get some more paint.
Trey, is the reason you picked the order of the colors you're spraying is because of how you were removing the stencil pieces?
Yes, because if you notice now, I am getting some overspray from what I'm doing.
Yep, you might want to explain what overspray is.
What I just did, and what I'm painting, I actually got some yellow on some of these other pieces. But because yellow is such a light color on there, it's not going to make a significant difference in the picture. If I came back with a dark color on doing that, it would make a lot of difference. So in this case, I'm going with the order of lighter to dark to lighter. Okay, and let's pull this pattern off and show you what we got. Got a butterfly.
I gotta say, ouch.
And you saw how easy that was to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's nothing more. It's nothing more than the pattern. Now, in this case, the pattern is, when I put the pattern down, I transferred the pattern to the wood. And when I did that, the black lines will show through. Now, if I don't want that black line to show through, I would have put the pattern on the brisket and then cut it out. Another simple pattern you can do, and this will be with masking tape. I'm basically going to do this. We'll show you how to do it. You can use brisket. Masking. This is cheaper and easier. What I'm doing. And we'll draw some lines on it. Try to keep stuff centered in the thing. And we'll do something different on this side just to show you what. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. On the knife you're using, it needs to be sharp. When I took a Drewberry airbrushing class, literally, if we cut out one picture or cutting one thing out there, we changed the blade. So we frequently change blades. And I'm not following the line precisely, it's just there.
So you don't have a problem coloring outside the lines?
No, not whatsoever.
I got thrown out of kindergarten for that.
You saw how precise I drew them to start with. So. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this first piece off down the bottom, and we'll work our way up. And let me pick an appropriate color for it.
Well, Trey's picking out the color, folks. This is Eddie Castle and Cap Knitting. It's coming up on the bottom of the hour. You tuned in to Worldwide Woodturners, and our website is worldwidewoodturners.org, and our email is worldwidewoodturners@gmail.com. We invite your participation, your input, and if you'd like to do a demonstration for us, we want to do at least one demonstration each week, and we'll do more and more and more as we can. This is the greatest free show in wood turning. So we invite you to get in your club and do something. That's what it's all about. Come on. All right, back to Trey.
Okay, I threw some blue in here. And I'm going to Again, start on the stencil, and I'm spraying right across the top edge of the stencil to put a line in there. And I'll come back in, peel that off. Repeat. This is something that Ben Poe did a lot of, and it's one color, but you're developing a pattern from that color. Always start on the stencil, not on the piece directly. I guess I need to put that pencil back in my pocket because otherwise I'll keep trying to use it for. And then we'll do this one at the top so you can see what this line did up here. Oops, that's already cut it. Pull everything off. And you can see the pattern that we just put on there.
Back from the camera a little bit, sir. Thank you.
Very neat.
Wow, that's
very
amazing.
nice.
And I should have worked better on some of the variations on that, but it's you can see what's going on with it. One other quick thing I did want to show you is on a stencil, if you want a really small, fine line, paper, just simply cut it. Then I'm going to lay this down. See, that's why you spray off the side. You see what that did there? Have a really fine line on there. And you can make it as fine as you want. You also can do grass this way by having individual strands. You know, and you would do them all individually. And that's forming some grass and, plant vegetation. And you can get this extremely fine because these two lines are right next to each other. So we'll see what I can do. Okay. You can see how fine that last line was in there. See how fine that line is.
That is nice. That is really
But
nice.
that's simply taking a piece of paper and cutting it, and then laying the two pieces side by side and shifting them just a little bit to be able to get your color on it.
Gives you great control over where you're putting things.
Yes, it does. And we talked about cleaning this. Lacquer thinner. Lacquer thinner cuts acrylic paints. That was dried paint. You saw what lacquer thinner does to it. And you know what? If I take this and rub this on the wall in my shop, it's going to pull paint off the wall in the shop because it's an acrylic paint. Oh, it helps if I'm on the right side of the stencil. Any questions? That was just a quick and dirty technique on doing different things and stuff. Stencils come in all different shapes and sizes. One thing don't overlook is they make stencils for fingernails. But there are a lot of neat, and I know we're getting tiny with stuff with it, but they make fingernail stencils. Like, okay. There's a tree.
The fingernail airbrush industry is huge. They have great stencils for the fingernails. They're small and precise. They're well cut. They work great.
And there's a little bitty tiny tree.
Right, you're out of camera. There you go.
Can you see it? It's tiny. Very tiny. A little seashell. See if that'll focus on that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You see how tiny these are? But there's my fingernail. You see how small those are. But they're made for fingernails, but they have a lot of stencils for it, and a lot of them are very reasonably priced, from the Chinese type, stencils. So, and there's some neat things in some of them.
Well, Trey, we thank you for this demo tonight. Very much appreciated, sir. This is some beautiful work. And I think the pieces you turned and decorated were awesome. I was having to wipe the drool off my chin. But again, thank you, sir. And we will now get over to, I think we call it gallery, not show and tell. And it's about 18 minutes before the hour. We're going to go gallery only, please. Let's go, Kane. You got it, Dane.
Sounds good. Doug Miller.
I'm here.
How you doing?
Doing good. Been seeing a lot of folks do some things that are awfully nice. This is what in the UK they call lime wood, I guess. It's what we call basswood. Is about the same thing. Put some black intrinsic colors dye on the back side, but then try to get it so you can see. Did some hot pink embellishing wax on top of it, and so it came out kind of a purple. But yet that's it. That's a wax finish that somehow we've got Eddie on and not me.
No, we can see you.
Oh, okay.
I'm seeing you.
All right.
Bye.
Anyway, that is black with hot pink wax on it, giving that purple haze to it. It kind of combines together.
Very nice stuff.
Learn some things though.
I really like those colors in the waxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cannot put regular, just clear wax on top of the embellishing wax, as it tends to pull the shine off of it. Had to go back and redo this one. I guess at some point I could go back and maybe give it a quick coat of shellac and then maybe some lacquer over that. But it looks pretty good like it is.
I did light coats of lacquer over my waxes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That
can
looks
go
cool,
get-
Doug.
All right, what else we got?
That's good. All right, let's go to Van. How you doing, Van?
Doing great. Good evening. I'm not seeing myself, so I'm not sure. There we go.
You're up.
Okay. It's a lidded bowl.
Box on a
little
box.
Jewelry box that I made for my granddaughter for Christmas. I tried to make the lid mirror the shape of the box, and the whole effect was that of a flower. She loves flowers and tulips, so I made the finial in the shape of a tulip, and it was just something that enjoyed doing.
Very nice, very nice.
Really nice.
There
Very
you go.
nice.
That's really nice, Van.
What are the woods?
Very nice. I knew somebody was going to ask.
I'm good for that.
Being new to the whole thing, I didn't realize the importance of writing down so I could remember what the wood is. I forget very easily.
Okay.
I don't know. There's black walnut on top. The other two, I don't know.
No, that's fine.
Sorry.
Looks very
Great
good.
work, Van.
That's nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Good.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Love it.
Cool.
Who's coming up, Dane?
Brenda's coming up.
Woo!
Brenda.
Hi, this
Threw my-
week.
I threw my
Have
Band-Aid
got-
away, Brenda.
No Band-Aids.
No Band-Aids.
No. This week I made a to-go cup. And I think it's made out of ambrosia maple. Can you see it very
Got
well?
pretty color to it, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
I
looks like
love-
ambrosia.
Yes.
Very nice.
And I just put one layer of lacquer on it. I wanted to keep putting more on it, but I was anxious to use it.
Can you still get the sleeve out of it?
What's that?
Can you get the sleeve out of the piece right now?
No,
Okay.
I
Nice.
hammered it in actually.
All right. I learned a long time ago, and I've got one I use every day. I burned in an outline of my face, a stencil my face on the side of it, so I know it's my coffee. But I sealed the inside as well as I finished the outside, because for some reason they end up laying in the dishwater. In the dishwater.
Oh no, this one ain't gonna go in the dishwasher or the
Okay.
dishwater or nothing. No, no.
That's good.
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
And-
Brenda.
Check this
Well,
out.
if it's for coffee, you're not supposed to
Hey.
wash a coffee cup anyway.
Very nice.
Hey, you got a
Brenda.
five
Very
ounce.
nice.
You got a 5 ounce
That's
stem there?
Yep. This
Awesome.
did like Doug Miller showed us, and taped the end and pulled on it to turn this part. Well, then
There you
the
go.
started coming off. So I went to, just kind of put the tape back on and it split. So it does have it's a fracture, I guess. I glued it back together, so I was able to save it, but not going to be a sellable piece, but I like it.
I like it. It's very nice work.
I
Real
got
nice,
it
Brenda.
down to 1/4 inch, I think.
Right.
Very
Oh,
good.
wow. That's nice.
Looks nice.
Now,
It's real good for me.
Hey, Dane, before we go to anybody, put me up on the spotlight, Dane. I wanna
Yeah,
tell you
okay.
this. Talking about the taping,
There you
this
go.
is a string steady I made for finials a long time ago. It's on a number 2 Morse taper screw chuck, and it goes in my tailstock. And then I do the same thing with the strings and such, and I can put a little bit of negative pressure, because that's all you need is a little bit of negative pressure on a piece to pull it, and it works great. And I can tell you, this fit of lathe I got rid of 11 years ago. I don't clean out anything. Ask Ronnie Burnett.
Thanks, Eddie.
That's cool.
All right, Matt, we're going to jump back to you.
All right.
Matt Harbor. Hey, Matt.
Yeah, I showed this piece here last week, but this is it with the handle on it.
Was that your challenge? Yeah, your challenge mug.
Yeah, for the club, for the Detroit Area Woodturners Club. So
that's a nice
challenge.
This fun. There's nothing special about this. It's just the tight bond thick and quick glue. Some people use epoxy, but I basically how you do this is you tape sandpaper to the mug, and then you take the handle and rub it along there to get the profile from the sandpaper. So that's how that's done. Thanks.
Man, it looks like there's
Good
a
tip.
castle
Great tip.
on the side of that mug.
What's that, Ronnie?
But it looks like there's a castle on the side of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just bark.
Yeah.
A cat.
Very
A
good.
castle.
Happy
Y'all
accident.
drinking early. See a castle.
All right.
All right. Who's in?
Dick, you're up.
Dick Shore. You're muted.
There we go. I've a couple of years ago bought the kit to make one of the manual sanding disc holders, and I finally got to where I wanted to make it because I turned a couple of bowls and it looked like I was going to need it. So I found a 2-foot piece of board in the 20-year box. You know, everything you're going to need for the next 20 years goes in that box, and I cut it in half and glued it together to give me some heft. And the interesting thing to me is that when I saw the demonstrator do this thing, it didn't click when he put it in. Well, this one really clicks. Thank you, Eddie.
You're quite welcome, Dick. That's a pleasure. Pleasure. That's one of those things that came from you guys. You know, I do some YouTubes, and a guy in Texas bought the sleeve and then wrote back to me and said, you don't have to put a magnetic bearing in the bottom of a magnetic ball. And I use rare earth magnets. Then when you put it in, snap, it stays in. And really, don't ever lube it. It's metal to metal, and that bearing in the bottom, it is beautiful. Who else we got, Dane?
All right, we got Doug.
Doug,
Oh,
we see you
you've already had me.
Paint it.
Nope.
You've already had me.
No, you're logged in twice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, so Scott, coming up on you here. There you go, Scott.
Scott, you're on. Yes, sir.
Well, I like to make stuff out of acrylic.
Pull it back towards your face, sir.
I make some jewelry out of acrylic. So this is a pen blank that I had a little piece left and didn't want to throw it away because I like the color of it so much. But I also make them so that they're detachable. It has an earthen magnet in the back so that they can buy one necklace and they can also buy more pendants from me.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Very
That's
nice.
a great idea.
So,
Very cool.
Then
very
I
cool.
also make some that are just strung. These are all turned. They all start out square. They're domed. And sometimes they don't polish the back because you get a little better color if you don't polish the back. But I got several different colors. Here's one for the Harley ladies in Wisconsin. They really like the orange and black for the Harley stuff. Then I have one for the Valentine's Day that I made this for a client for Valentine's Day. It's cherry red with some white in it.
Those are beautiful, Scott. Thank you for sharing that tonight. Boy,
Thank you.
Those are either
There's
bottle
no-
stopper blanks or pen blanks.
Yeah, well, there's no
Good
such
use
thing as
of the
scrap wood.
cutoffs. Cutoffs. Very good use. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and sometimes they don't even use cutoffs. They just if I find a nice bottle stopper blank, sometimes it gets made into all jewelry, never gets made into a bottle stopper.
Good idea.
That'll work.
That's
Thanks.
Doug, do
you got a thing?
you got anything, Doug? You're muted, Doug.
Hang tight. I got some. Unmute myself. Didn't I unmute myself?
Yeah, you did.
You're
You're
unmuted.
unmuted.
Okay, hang tight.
Coming up on the top of the hour, you're with worldwidewoodturners.org. We're here every Wednesday evening.
Wake me up.
And you're invited to join us, please. What you got, Bull Barn?
Yeah, did y'all watch the Cog Bowl last week? So I made another one this week. So,
Okay.
It says Sapili again. I don't know if it's gonna do the change in the colors.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
So
That looks cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Real nice.
Yeah, it really shows on the bottom, Doug.
And then this week I did a piece of honey locust, and just a pretty basic bowl. I just dumped some colors in. It turned out way better than I expected it to. So it's purple and pinks in it.
Nice.
That's what I got for this week.
What'd you use for your finish?
Kim's wax. Kim
Right on.
It
Kim
works.
sent me a, I think it's a carnauba wax that she'd made. So I used her wax.
Sweet.
Actually, on
Thank
both
you.
of them. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Good
Doug.
stuff.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Hey, well, Doug Moore's on there. I got to tell everybody, I got the 3 pens that you did in your YouTube video that you sent me, and I can't wait to hand those ones out. Like I said, I'm
hear
going
him.
to wait till I get a pretty good batch set up. And, but yeah, I've already got soldiers in mind on who's getting those 3. So thank you.
Doug, which puppy did you
You're
keep?
welcome.
Right on. Rick. I think I got the wrong Rick. No,
Yeah.
I got the right Rick.
I'm right here. Let's see if we can get this in perspective. It's a piece of
What about
ambrosia maple that was given to me. So I turned this small platter out of one. Then I went back and I said, I need a bigger piece. So I
Pull
got
it back
one.
to you.
Pull it back
Big-
towards you. There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
But I thought it came out beautiful. It's probably a lot of
rotate the
figures in
bottom.
there.
Rotate the bottom. Rotate it. There you go. Yes.
There you
Now we're
go.
seeing it.
That's gorgeous.
Nice.
But I really like that ambrosia maple. I think I'm going to talk him out of another piece or two if he's got any. But I really enjoyed doing it.
Very
Thank you,
good.
sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I love
Very
that.
nice.
Love that.
Who was that? Kim?
That was Brenda.
Brenda. All right.
Love
Can't
that
tell you
ambrosia
what.
maple.
Hey, Stephen.
All right. Stephen, you're up.
I have a couple things here. One is a bud vase that you guys showed me how to do a couple meetings ago with the test tube in here.
Yeah.
I used a 5/8 inch bit. I had a trouble finding a bit that was long enough to get. It's a 6-inch tube, and it's oak, and it's got a lot of insect infestation in there, and faulting. But it kind of looks pretty cool with the almost looks like
It does.
driftwood.
Does
A
look
lot of
good.
character. A lot of characters.
I like
Well,
that. Better homesteaders.
And is there a Faulkner bit that is longer than just a couple inches? Because this, I have to go 6 inches down. Do you guys?
What you do is you get a bit extension.
You can get an extension that's about 4 or 5 inches long.
Yeah, but the bit extension is bigger than 5/8 of an inch.
Yeah,
You can get-
I
you
did
can get
that
smaller
too.
ones. You can get smaller ones.
You can
You
get
can
smaller.
just buy a Morse taper drill. Buy a Morse taper drill.
Morse taper drill. Okay.
Or use spade bits.
I cheat. I weld the extension on.
I can't weld. And this is my first ever bottle stopper.
Hey, that's nice.
Out of walnut.
Looks good.
Good.
Very
nice.
Hey,
Yeah, that's
Stephen,
better.
I had the same problem with the drill bit
Uh-huh.
because the Forstner bit extension was wider than the Forstner bit.
Right.
So I went on Amazon and bought a drill bit, a real long drill bit.
Yeah.
What diameter did you use, Brenda? What diameter?
I don't know. I used a test tube, so it was
5/8. I've
Okay.
been wondering. I bought a 5/8 bit on Amazon, and I couldn't remember why I bought it. So now I know. Thank you, Steve.
Stephen,
These
go
these
to craft
test tubes are these test tubes are 5/8 of an inch, but it was a really tight fit, and I had to actually hammer it down in to get it seated. And I'm afraid that with the expansion and contraction of the wood, it might crack. Should I get a drill bit that's a little bit bigger than 5/8 of an inch? Maybe
Yes.
11/16 or maybe some metric size that's just a hair bigger.
Yeah, probably a metric be your best bet. Go mil over or half a mil, whatever that size is, greater than 5/8.
So it would slide out easily, right?
Yeah. I had that same problem too. They slid
Yeah,
it.
I went a millimeter
I took
over
it
on the drill
house.
size.
Millimeter over.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank
another,
you.
Another thing you can do is just make a sanding stick and wrap some sandpaper around a stick with a slot, and you can sand that hole a little bit bigger.
Oh yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Also go to Craft
Hardwood
Supply. They have good sized drill bits for doing that.
Craft Supply.
Yeah, Craft Supply.
Thanks.
It'll
Hey,
work.
who's
Thank
up,
you.
Dane?
James, talk to us.
Okay, I don't have a bowl or anything, but I have a bandsaw blade destroyer. I ran into these two guys this week. Just matter of fact, yesterday.
Hold it up. Oh.
They were buried inside of a piece of wood. A tree trimmer got me, and these were both just destroyed the blade.
Nasty
What are those? What are those?
Nails.
That's a funny head.
Yeah, it really is. It's marked with a W. If I can see it.
With a W?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
And I found two of them. One I hit with the blade, and the other one I took the magnetic metal detector out, and I found the other one.
You found the other one.
Yeah, the evil twins.
Wow.
But if you get free wood, really inspect it first.
Right.
Yeah, note to self, run metal detector first.
Exactly.
Did you say there's a W on the end of those nails?
Yes.
Okay, well, sounds
There
to
it
me
is.
like you need to find one more then, and you found the worldwide wood turner nails.
I'll go out tomorrow and go through it again.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you sharing
Sure.
tonight.
Sure
Can we hit Doug Rowe up here?
Well, let's see. Doug, there he is.
Hey, the Master Sergeant.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? I came
The
in late
first
today,
sergeant.
but I'm here.
Sarge, let's explain about those pens because I'm seeing some chat and I'm getting some PMs. We're talking about pens, freedom pens. I got a guy told me today he's mailing me a handful because he can't go to chat and get the address. But what's going on with the program right now?
So my address, I believe it's on the website. I'll go ahead and I'll throw it in the chat again. But if you guys want to, go ahead and make some pens and you ship them over to me. And then I will put them in the hands of soldiers. I've got a unit that's going to be deploying in the spring, or at least scheduled to right now. We'll see. So that's why I'm trying to get a stockpile. So as they're leaving to go get on the plane, we always have the senior ranking people out there shaking their hands as they're getting on the plane, or I guess now we bump elbows, thanks COVID. But the idea is to put a pen in each of their hands as they're walking out the door for that deployment. So I'm just working on a stockpile right now. Doug Moore just did an awesome YouTube video. If you go to his channel, you'll see 3 of them that he made that he sent me. They're absolutely gorgeous. They don't need to be that beautiful. You can send me any pens that you made. The troops all love them. Any size is fine. The slim lines work great because they fit in the pockets of our uniform, but they don't have to be those ones. We'll make any of them work. If you guys are generous enough to make them and send them to me, I promise I'll put them in the hands of troops.
Well, all I can hope is that I send enough people to you with pens.
Yeah. Oh, and that was awesome of you to put that on your YouTube site and everything. So thank you for doing that.
It's an important thing we need to do for our troops. They preserve our country and protect our freedom. preserve our freedom, protect our country. I don't care which way you put it, but they're there for us. What else you got, Dane?
All right, we've got Jack coming up next. Going to show us an extension, I believe.
Is that Jack?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
That's
Yeah.
me.
I'm talking to you.
Are you?
I'm waving at you.
There you are.
Okay. I see you.
Right.
Go ahead. Keep talking. You got it. Go ahead.
We got you.
There we go.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I just ran out to my shop and I didn't remember what size this was, but this is just an example. It's a 5-inch by 3/8 inch bit extension and it's on a Forstner. And it's got 2 set screws that fasten it onto the Forstner, and then the back side of it has 3 flats cut in it. That's a 3/8 inch. I bought 2 of them. I've never used 2 of them but I was drilling something that I needed a long one for, but I got 2 of them so I could get it further out, but I've never used 2 of them. And it's very, very sturdy, very sturdy. However, the farther out you get that thing, the more it's going to wobble a little bit anyway. So you still got to be careful with it.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the info. All right,
Start
Dane.
with a little bit first.
Let's see. Who's up next? Oh, goodness. We don't have anyone up next, but
wow.
I guess
Well,
I can spotlight myself here.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. It's 5 after 9. We're supposed to have the button off by now.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah.
I'll go quick.
You did that last week.
Okay, so I'd made my recess
hold
cutter
that
for
thing.
cutting threads, so I had to try it out and see how it works. So I've found a piece of cherry that I had cut and did something with purple heart strips. I have no idea what I was trying to make whenever it was that I did it years ago.
You were trying to do the Celtic knot thing.
Yeah, if I was, I failed miserably. I think it was something else.
Or you just did some unique work.
And then so there's that. Then I made a little snap box.
Pretty wood.
And yeah, actually, so he's next, that red one, this one, and the next one are juniper. So extremely soft wood, but my lands takes a good thread. And then here's another snap box.
That's pretty.
Nice.
Let's hear that snap again. That's that wood turner snap.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so staying with Forstner bit extensions. So here's a 10-inch extender. And that's from Amon Tools. So the same thing, you got your 3 flats on the back side here and your 2 set screws to accept the Forstner bit. But that's what's good for use when you're making long pepper mills.
So what's the diameter of that connection?
It's a 1/2 inch.
Dane,
And that's all I got.
finish. What was the finish on your first piece there?
A mixture of wipe-on poly and tung oil and denatured alcohol. And then the other 3 is Parfix 3408 super glue. And then I've got another threaded box on the lathe right now. It's stuck on my jam chuck at the moment.
Stuck or just there?
Yeah, just there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not finished yet. Doing the bottom.
Thank you, sir.
And that's it.
All right. We had an interesting evening this evening, folks. It really was. We had 2 fantastic demonstrations. Paul Hannaby was out of England or Great Britain, and he showed us the basics of airbrushing. And then we went to Trey, and he's in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and he showed us little fine techniques with the airbrush. So you've got a whole lot to work with right there. I've also had offers on layouts of the Celtic pattern going around a platter. You get that, Matt? And we've also had a few other details, presentations offered to us. We will take them. We will use them. 1 a week is good. 2 a week is better. 3 a week, oh, I can't stand it. But this is Worldwide Woodturners. Now, we're going to pull the cord, get out of here. Before we leave, now go to the chat. I'm right now going to the chat. And they got a little spot at the bottom down there where you can say save chat. I'm saving it. It's going to be on my computer. So if I want it again, I will be able to get it again and look at it, because we had a lot of great information go to the chat tonight. And I got to thank all of y'all. This was a fantastic meeting. Look, I'm in a shop. I turned wood today. I got all kinds of things done today. This has been great. Thank you. And I appreciate y'all being here tonight. Hope to see all of y'all back. Invite your friends. And we're here Wednesday evenings. And we'd love to have you with us. I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. Please say good night.
Good night, Eddie.
All right, y'all. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Stay well.
See you back in
Night,
the shop.
everybody.
Everybody.
All right, everyone.
Good night.